Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge in space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GaNs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others. That they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GaNs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GaNs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates megrav fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GaNs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GaNs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
Welcome everyone to the 193rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 12th, 2017. And once again, we are gathered here to listen to Mr. Kesh and his explanations and knowledge of the world, as well as other knowledge seekers from around the planet Earth. And I'm sure we'll have a number of things that'll be very interesting for people tonight. So I think Mr. Kesh is ready to go with tonight's presentation. Are you not, Mr. Kesh?
Yes, good morning is tonight to you and is morning to us. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this Knowledge Seeker series. We welcome you back to 193 times week after week, being here to share knowledge. And in a way, our persistence is paying off, and the progress and the development and sharing of the knowledge is becoming much more widespread, rapid, and in a way, what we were expecting, our patience is paying off. The technology is getting spread around. A lot of people are using it and developing it. And in so many ways, um, our success as foundation is totally shared by all of us. For sometimes we stop showing other people's development progress or whatever they were developing or showing because of the number of threats they receive by these hooligans of the network. If you show, we start letting people come back in and show. If you receive any threats, if you receive any misconduct, please report it to us. We have set a structure, we handle with them immediately. We know this has happened many, many times. Just they come from Belgium and Austria and Germany, wherever. We handle these threats seriously with Interpol and police. We have set a structure up. They cannot do this. They did it with Alex, they did it with Peter, and the others who showed something to threaten. We bring you back in to become a partner in sharing knowledge. You have to stand and be correct with us, and we handle it drastically very correct. This is not anymore one-man band threat coming through some what I call misconduct of the people who thought they have. There's only 4 or 5 of them, and they're well under observation, and we move. We have no problem to move. We show we are correct and we handle correct. From today you will see people start sharing knowledge again like before, and do not be afraid in sharing, because that's where our strength comes. The more we share, the more we save time and life, and other progresses will come into the foundation. There has been a number of changes in the work of the foundation, which you will notice very uh, openly on other teachings. We, in the past few weeks, since the beginning of the signing of the peace treaty, we moved into allowing Thursday morning for the Universal Council members, the Earth Council members and core team to bring their wishes and what they see into Thursday morning teaching. This was necessary to get people to understand the establishment of these what we call organizations of the Keshe Foundation. Now that we have seen them being there, and they're trying to find their way and their work around us. Just 1 second, please. Then we explain more that now they have we have given them their own time and place. We ran a Tuesday afternoon workshops. This workshops is part of the Keshe Foundation teaching, and this allows us to teach more. And in a way was, if you remember, some 2 years ago we had a Tuesday and Thursday teaching. This Tuesday afternoon teachings has become part of our work, and for this reason now we open the workshops Tuesday afternoons. Now the Universal Council, the Earth Council and the core team consultation with public will move from Thursday mornings to Tuesday afternoon. They have 3, 4 or 5 hours themselves. This has come about because they have to start learning how to collaborate. If we see the need for extending this time, As the establishment of these organizations grows, we'll add time to their time that they can be in public more. What this is if you have a problem, or not a problem in a way of problem, you see a solution to a problem, bring it on the table. We've seen a letter from the Caribbeans, people asking for help. We explained in the teaching of Tuesday our position. Now these things has to go back to the Earth Council, to Universal Council. As we explained on Tuesday, Earth Council and Universal Council become responsible to make Keshe Foundation moving in the direction of the correct help. They set up the auxiliary support teams which they have to organize supports for these cases. Be it any help, be it development of technology, be it what they see as the governing body to where we need to go. The Keshe Foundation resources become available totally to the councils. And in that process, we gradually take over the teaching side on Thursday mornings and what we call development of the knowledge. Tuesday afternoons is if you have any suggestions, if you want to speak to the members of the council, if you have an insight that you see things, you want to progress in certain directions, certain languages, you call upon the member of the council in that language to present themselves on that meeting. There you ask, you want to speak to the Spanish or Arabic member of the council. If they are present, they can respond to you in your own local, what you call, in your mother language. This does not need to be done in English. The translators will translate. So you do not need to know English to be able to bring the problem of the position or the solution you have to the councils. This is how One Nation works. We promote national, international mother languages to be part of the structure of the work of the Keshe Foundation. It was a pleasure to see the Prime Minister of Canada in addressing the United Nations in the past few days, fluently transferring from English to French, because it's a multinational speaking. When you are Canadian, you want to speak French, you ask for a French representative of the Keshe Foundation as a member of the council to be there. It will be translated automatically. This is how it should be. We thank the President of the Prime Minister of Canada for the initiation he's taken, and what we heard is very promising. Canada is back on the move in the right direction, and we support Canadians. The Keshe Foundation has asked the Keshe Foundation Canada to restructure themselves for manufacturing, and we support it directly in response to the speech of the Prime Minister of Canada. Anything in the past between Canada and Keshe Foundation is put aside. This is how it should be. We support heavily from now on. We finance manufacturing in Canada, and we ask for Canadian people who are supporting the Keshe Foundation wanted to set up. We have allocated €500,000 for development of Keshe Foundation manufacturing in response to the speech of the Prime Minister of Canada. We respect his honorable, his addressing the United Nations, and he's made it very clear Canada is open for business, and we're responding. In response to other speeches in the United Nations in the past week, we have one mention. We would like to have 1% of 700 billion for defense spent by United States given to the supporters of peace to produce tools of peace. We'll find out the other 693 billion will not be needed. I think His Excellency President of United States received the message. In that way, 7 billion can bring tools, equipments for peace, for changing the course of humanity, where the 693 billion will disappear in nothing. This is part of our work. We develop, we advance, and we share. The Keshe Foundation New Technology is for humanity and not for one place, one nation. It is important for us to understand that as we develop, we share more and more knowledge. The operation of the Keshe Foundation worldwide is in the hand of you as the supporters. We will not announce anymore how we develop, where we develop, as we are developing our technologies and factories and other processes. We are as one team, as one nation. I know today we will see the first national card, which we call it One Nation, One Planet. The ID card is ready. I think if we have Ella available in the background. Ella, would you like to share that with us if you're present? Would you like to take us through, please?
It will be me, because she's deep somewhere. Deep.
She was working late last night. Yeah, I've seen her communication. Can you explain to us, please?
So this is the initial design for the card. Just a minute that I switch off something.
We got a feedback somewhere. Can you start? Hello?
Just a minute.
Hello?
Now it will be better, yeah?
Yeah, we're better now.
Okay, this is just the initial design of the card. This is the front part of it, and I will show soon the back part. So it's classic card, it has chip inside, NFC, and it also serves, it can also have a bank account number for the future Keshe Foundation banking system. So here in the back it has also this typical character recognition part that we are used to see on governmental identity cards or passports, and World Peace Treaty and the signature under it. We all know this text from the World Peace Treaty. So I don't know what you wish to tell me more about it.
Yes, what happened, as you see, this will become the One Nation ID and the banking system, which are connected to each other. All the data as normal will be stored in the chip. There will be, as you see the question mark, there will be a hologram picture, which means identifies the person. Your picture is on it. So a card cannot be duplicated. There are some features which the people who produce the cards will put security parameters into it. And more or less, that's how simple it is to make one nation. The peace treaty has to be signed on the back. The signature on the back is not a card identity signature. It's accepting the responsibility of world peace. This is in turn will be in, as you see it in the blue color, with everything connects the work of the foundation, the Spaceship Institute, and as you see with the fingerprint on the card. There are other security parameters. Anyone will go to the Keshe Foundation offices once it's done, what they call the registration is completed, will receive one. This should give access to worldwide banking system of the Keshe Foundation, which is getting set up in the background. Which means if you're hungry, if you're in a position that your family needs help for an operation, you have no funds to go to, Keshe Foundation is there as a family to support. We don't ask questions. There is no reference checking for what you took the money for, but we keep an eye open that the system is not abused. This is part of the structure which we are setting up, and this is how it needs to be done. Just 1 second, please. So, as you can see, we are setting everything up according to what we planned a long time ago. We are in the same direction as one nation. As you can see, it does not mention nations anymore. It says which continent you come, what language you speak. And that's all it matters from now on. There is no borders. The reason we put continent on, because then you cover by which member of the Earth Council is responsible for you. We become responsible, and the responsibility is to be correct with the humanity and in space. This is how, for the time being, unless further development comes in, we'll proceed with issuing of the One Nation ID cards. And then in time, as we will see, it adds to our strength as millions of these cards will be issued around the world through the Keshe Foundation only. We're setting up the structure. It's taking time to set the full structure in the background to be able to deliver all these things. As a lot of you are aware, we do not go to the banks to borrow. We do not go to look for other things to do. Everything is financed internally by Keshe Foundation supporters and Keshe Foundation team. It has to be this way. It has to be independent. This time, we don't go to conglomerates, to governments to ask. It's us as Keshe Foundation who has to support this change. We support you, your time, your correctness with your soul supports the Keshe Foundation work. This is part of the development. This is how we see the future of humanity. One planet, one nation, one race, human race, irrespective of color, race, creed. It is important for us, to what we heard coming from letters from Caribbeans, that we are ready to respond. Keshe Foundation has allocated 40,000 euro for anyone or any equipment or Keshe Foundation materials which needs to be flown into disaster zones. This is all supported. Last time when we received a call from the islands some 2 years ago, we responded with help and we supported the help. We are looking for people to teach, to go in and show people how to help themselves. If you can carry material with you, we have no problem. If you are there to support this situation which is happening in Caribbean and even in the United States, people who lost home, or people in the islands which they have no medication or medicine or whatever, we are there to support you. If you want to fly in, we fly you in, but you have to have the expertise to be able to do, not out of emotion of being there. We can all be there, but we need people who understand about the whole nanotechnology. They can make the pads from local materials. You cannot fly in. There is nothing in these disaster zones. We will respond accordingly. As we said in the Tuesday teaching, we have allocated 40,000 euro for movement supporting this disaster in the islands. In US, if you need help, let us know how we can help. But the situation in the islands is, as we see from the reports, is very catastrophic. If you have time, if you're a doctor, if you are with the knowledge of the nano coating, nanomaterials, you can make pen pads, you can make CH3 and other GANs food materials to be able to teach the locals to help themselves. Contact the Keshe Foundation, webmaster at spaceshipinstitute.org will respond. In that process, we'll respond accordingly to all the needs we can support. As the Keshe Foundation factories are in a transition time, as we explained on Tuesday, we will not be able to support till early January when all the factories go back into production, that we can create reserves and respond accordingly, as we did opening our factories to the Italian government during the time of the earthquake here last year. This is our job. As Keshe Foundation, as one nation, every part of this planet is part of our nation. No prejudices, no separation, nowhere is too far. In this process, we have to help. And if you have the expertise, or if you have the materials which can be shipped, we ship immediately. The funds are available and we respond. You have to get in touch with Keshe Foundation. and we respond accordingly for shipping or getting you there to be able to help. We saw last year or 2 years ago when there was a disaster, having one of the Keshe Foundation supporters on site did a lot of good work, allowed a lot of people to be taught the technology locally. Now they're helping themselves, and even we've been told they're selling some of the Keshe Foundation products to the islands around. So it's become a permanent, not after response, just to be emotional to respond. If you have a knowledge and if you have a time, especially if you're doctors and you can fly in, with Keshe Foundation, we support you. We pay for all expenses to get you in. This is part of the beauty of the expansion of the Keshe Foundation. We are financially independent and we show our strength now that we can do so, and we become more and more. We'll go with the banking system. And when we appoint people in certain places of disaster, this ID card will give you access to everything you need wherever you walk into. This card should be the sign of peaceful humanity, a person who's knowledgeable to carry peace, not necessarily the knowledge of the foundation. In space, there is no Keshe Foundation. In space is the soul of the man with the conduct of the soul to be correct. In today's teaching, we might touch on how we interact in deep space as the Spaceship Institute's research into space flight is deepening and is becoming not in the hand of the government but the Keshe Foundation scientists. As we are opening these frontiers, we need to start time to time to teach in how we can survive in this deep space. And this is part of the teaching we might do today. We go back to our normal teaching.
Mr. Keshe, there's many people that are asking when will we be able to order the ID card, of course.
There's a lot of work to be done in the background. The companies which produce these cards are getting sorted out by the members of the board of directors of the Keshe Foundation. We have to finalize things with the companies which produce the cards, and that is in progress. As soon as we complete, we will let you know. And it should be next, let's say 30 days or so, we should be able to proceed. But we have to, be able to produce the maximum security, safety we can put on the cards, and the company to produce them according that we can afford to pay for the whole process. We cannot up jump it too early, too late. But first of all, we need a company that can supply the cards not only one place, but deliver internationally, even to the people who are no addresses, the homeless. And we have to set everything up correctly before we go. Because we know the needy will ask for these, because it's there, they see it as a salvage point for their life, that they can have a card and have food or shelter. And we have to organize everything. We'll see next 30 days, 60 days maximum. Once we, come to an agreement with a company to produce it and be able to deliver it worldwide. There are a number of the companies which we know they can do it, but they're all national based. But there are other things which is getting done in the background with 2 different groups. Keshe Foundation inside the management team, and outside we are working with the other banking system that are using the technology, and they've seen the pitfalls with it and the things they need to be done. We are learning from every direction that we don't need to reproduce the card. These cards are for life. They're not just once to be renewed in a few months and a few years again like banking cards.
Are they, will they replace a passport? There's a question about that. So it can be used as a passport.
All the details, the way we see it, will be embedded in the chip. Your education, your blood type, everything else, that how you will support, where you can be called on if there is a disaster or there is a need for a help. We have a database, we can inform you through your card. When you go, for example, to cash, this says there is a message there for you. Can you please contact the center? There is a need for your expertise. It's a it's not a one-way communication, it's a two-way communication. These are the new type of the technologies which are available, and we're trying to use it, that we understand it. Is there are 2-3 companies, we're trying to find the best between all that is available. It's a new innovation. We've seen it in China, they use it very effectively. All your details is on your ID card. The government doesn't need to do much. We see the same development in Iran. In Iran, you can just put your ID card at any fuel station. They know how much fuel you use, when you bought, and everything else is on the chip. These are the number of developments. I'm talking to some people in the Iranian government structure who use these cards. They developed it internally. We know Chinese are using different way. There are companies in Europe who have developed for other nations. So we are looking how we can bring a combination of these, or get at least 2 or 3 companies to work with each other. That is an interactive card. It's not once produced is finished, because we are.
Could it be?
Travel.
Speaking of travel, could it be a driver's license, or in the future perhaps a flyer's license?
It is possible. It's part of the feature because it can be embedded in the holograms. There are codes which you don't need to say, it just tells you with a single what do you call it, points on your card that you can drive. You cannot drive. You are diabetic. You are everything about the person is there for the person, that if it's needed. It's very much like the emergency card people carry. Some people carry donor cards in Europe. If it is when you put a card, it says, I want to donate. All the information is embedded. You don't need to search for it. These are the things which we are looking. We are trying to create a comprehensive card, and we are learning. It does not mean that when we produce the first batch or first series, it'll be perfect. Most probably we find some of the things we need to add to it. This is important for us, because in the future of the work, when we go into space, through the knowledge we have, these cards become very, very effective. We'll explain in the future. I do not try to explain it, but in the development of these cards, a lot of things will be hidden in the pictures. That when you travel, is known where you come from. In the structure of the, once you see the Earth, it tells you the position of the galaxy, the position of the universe, where you are positioned. These are the extensions which is needed to be added. It's not understood by man fully, but this is how a lot of people, or what they call creatures of the universe, carry with them. We know where they come from. It tells you a lot of things. This data has to be built in. Chip cannot be read in the universe, but pictures, the way it's used, carries a lot of information.
I was thinking in that way. We have a picture now where you can see predominantly Africa as the continent in the Earth picture. What if each continent was represented according to one's, like we should perhaps see Europe now with this continent, Europe, and then if someone else was from Africa, they would have Africa as their continent. And then if they get lost in space, they might be able to send them back home and know at least what continent they came from.
Everything will be embedded. These are the things which we are looking for. There are security apparatuses in the fingerprint. There are security apparatuses we can put in as part of what we call RNA. There are a number of the countries, a number of companies which are using cards as for a specific purpose. I'm looking into everything possible. If we can merge it, if one company allows other company or another nation to use their intellectual rights into these developments. When you travel in Iran, at 12 o'clock at night, the government can tell you, they broadcast every night more or less, that how much fuel was used, how much of it was, how much water was used, how much of it from the national reserves, how much of it from reservoirs, how much from deep wells. All this been embedded in the card where you are. They can inform you for everything else. In China, they have developed a much more advanced level of these things. When you just put your card on the machine, it gives all the details to the screen. It's very easily done, but it can be abused. We're trying to find the best solution. And we'll see what happens. We might print some of these cards in Iran, we might print some in China, and we have to see how we can organize it. We are learning ourselves in this process. It's not that we know it all. The Keshe Foundation team and the people who are supporting us, they are teaching us and are learning. And we are in no hurry just to have a card. We are trying to find the best way, best opportunity that we can deliver these cards even in the most remotest places on earth. That somebody can use the card on their mobile phone and through an app they can trigger payment. We've seen this in Africa. In Africa, especially like in Central West Africa or in East Africa, your mobile phone is the point of receiving money. You buy a bag of potato, you buy a kilo of fruit, you pay through your mobile phone to the mobile phone of the person who is supplying you. African apps are very, very advanced. In Kenya, they produce a lot of these apps, which we are looking into. You don't need to worry if there is a bank near me. A mobile phone is available around the world, and most of the African nations and some part of the Asia and South America, people rely on their lives with this. They have a unit, and everything is done to it. This is what I call the blue phones, which are getting provided. If you have one blue phone in a village, everybody can use it for their life, because it'll be identified as single card when you put it in. These are the things which we are exploring. We have to understand we are not only available where there is a ATM machine. These are part of the progress. Till we don't get it 100% right, or at least majority of the process right, we will not do it. We'll run a test run in Africa, we'll run a test run in South America. We'll test run in China. A Chinese man should be able, if he has no food, which is very rare. In China, still a lot of people go hungry. But at the same time, the government there is to support it. And there, they should be able to reach the telephone, mobile phone, and have food on the table. Not to worry what's going to happen, if it's going to be a hunger. In Europe, some 7% of children go to sleep hungry because the parents cannot afford it. Keshe Foundation should be there to support that the father can walk in and buy and pay with a card. We guarantee it is a social responsibility of the Keshe Foundation as one nation. These are all getting set up. It will take us more time to do it, but we do it correctly. Because every time we replace a card, it's going to cost a lot of money for us to replace it. All the acceptance of it. We are looking at the acceptance of card on a mobile phone, which means if you're in a remote place, your card is on your phone. At a certain number, you can access your card, it becomes accessible. These are the things we have to do it as one nation. It's not just to produce a card. It's not symbolic. It's effective working system. We have to look at all the options. Very soon we put a team to complete this of the Keshe Foundation. I've asked the head of the ex-head of the United Nations Disaster Funds Banking, World Bank, to join us as a good friend of mine to see this is done properly. He's an old friend, and he will take his position as a head of the banking system to Keshe Foundation worldwide. And we'll see how he structures it, how he sees it, that as a ex-head of National Bank, he can advise us how to do it. He was on a full payroll of the Keshe Foundation. So we expect a lot of good work coming from him. He's well knowledgeable in the world banking system. These are the things we are bringing expert in. If you are a member of the government, you listen to these teachings, please come in and advise us. You have direct access to me. Go to webmaster at Keshe Foundation or webmaster at thespaceshipisinstitute.org. Just put a subject you want to talk about the banking, you're an international lawyer. that we can cover by law ourselves in every aspect. We listen very carefully. This is our job. To set up one nation is not just to talk, it's to look after every point. That we don't look who's going to abuse it. We make it so accessible, so correct, that nobody needs to commit a crime to access it. This is the beauty of what we taught from the beginning. We, as the Keshe Foundation, as the founders of the new peace and the new order, we have to make it so that no one needs to commit a crime to receive food. Indulgence at the beginning is understandable because it's never been there. But once they understand it's there for them, and if they take too much, there is not for somebody else, the change will come. We have committed our work to peace. We support this way of working. We're talking to a number of nations in the background for development and understanding of how the peace treaty has to be done as part of one nation. It is important for us. It is important for all of us to be there to do it. You've seen we don't talk. We are people who act, because as I explained yesterday, we have the technology, we have the numbers which can make the change worldwide, and we have the financial means to implement our work. Nobody can call us a terrorist unless we are terrorists of peace, because we make it available to everyone, equal, the same. It is important for all of us to work in that target. The members of the Universal Council who submitted themselves to be a member, and they are there to support. From now on, you have to answer to your souls and the soul of the people who come to you to bring you new knowledge. Even a request for help is a knowledge to understand how we can help them. Is to how can I find a way through talking to the other members of the council, or bring it to open how I can help, how I can bring the change. We will see the number of members of the council increasing rapidly from now on that we open the Tuesdays. We know we'll reach 144 members in the coming time on the board of the Universal Council. Now that the Spanish speaking can come into the council on Tuesday afternoon, and like the letters we received from the disaster zone, some speak Spanish, some speak Portuguese, some speak English, some speak their local language. This will increase the people who would like to support in their national language or in their mother tongue language. We will see the increase in numbers very rapidly, as I've explained. In the coming time, we hope and we should be able to have national office of Keshe Foundation, not Keshe Foundation Manufacturing, in every nation, in all the languages possible that that nation supports. You can walk into the Keshe Foundation office in France. If you're German speaking, there is an office for you to speak to people who are there in German language, or in any African language, or South American language. This will take time. This is not a dream. We have set a lot of it in motion. It takes time to structure it. 12 months, 2 years, 3 years. We've seen it. It's taken us 5 years to get here. But from now on that the structure is set, it's become meteoric. Just will take over one by one. If you speak a language and there is no member of the Universal Council, just don't become a member. You understand that it'll take all your time. It's work with the soul of the man. It's not just that I want to be a volunteer. I want to be a member of the Earth Council just by the name of it. You'll be called upon to serve through your soul and everything else it takes. This will put a lot of people to test. Even the present members of the Universal Council who came in and due to some circumstances moved, stayed, come in when they have time. Now you become full-time gradually, and we start looking after the full-time members of the councils according to their needs. Setting up one nation needs a lot of wisdom. And collectively, as one race, we gathered all these wisdoms over thousands of years. And we know what is right and we know what is wrong. Collectively, we'll achieve it. The mass balance force has been created. Is now is not to make mistakes, not to be in the rush just to do it because, but to do it for. We do it for humanity, we do it for our next generation. Not only to be safe on this planet, but to understand the conduct in the space, that they stay correct. It's no use putting man in deep space with the latest technology which man doesn't understand half of it, but it's been made available to the knowledge which has been brought to human race but from outside the knowledge of the universe, and then not knowing to turn left or right, not knowing where to find food, not knowing how to interact. As we release more and more and we show more development in the space technology, we start teaching the ethos of the universe. How do you do? How do you manifest yourself? How do you assess you can be physically present in a given condition in deep space? What do I do when I reach a position in the universe? I feel it through my soul peaceful. I feel it through my soul. It's somewhere I would like to have a look at. Somewhere could be pleasurable to be in. I find the balance and peace in my soul. This is how in the universe we know where we can manifest ourselves. When we arrive at the point of destination, the physicality will not take shape the way we see it. We feel it through our soul. A balance, a peaceful, is not taking too much, is not giving too much. So it means it's somewhere I can exist. If it's receiving too much, it means I cannot handle. If it's giving too much, it means I cannot handle. This environment is not for me. Maybe I have to go to deeper levels of my soul to be able to be able to see what is here, what I can see, how I can serve, how I can be positive in the environment I'm in. I just don't become something that I take from the environment. In deep space, we work only and solely through our soul. We have passed the point of physicality, it's the maturity of understanding of the soul. We would like to reach a point in certain position, even there is no physicality of the star or physicality of the planet. The man understanding that he always has to land somewhere to get off, to do something to show he's there, the way we say we do it on the moon or the Mars, is over. Any point in space is home, where your soul feels comfortable to exist in and see. There is more beauty in the non-tangibility line of the visible vision of the man of today than man can ever imagine in space. When you arrive at the point of destination, for you or as you're traveling, you see, you feel suddenly here is like a wind of peace. This environment feels good. I want to see what's here. There are no place to land. There are no moons and no planet. But the life exists in that strength level. So all you need to do is to want to rest, want to explore. You increase your magnetical field, which means by increasing or decreasing your magnetical field, you find the interaction phase. At what level the physicality is understanding. If you want to transfer yourself into a physical entity, to be able to see, or you would like to see at the strength of the eye of your soul, which means understanding the environment. When you come to these points, you release from the soul huge amount of fields of given the strength. It's like a pulses. When do you see? At what level would you see? You feel distance, visibility of the soul, tangibility of the soul. And then you assess, I would like to be here. This is not taking too much from me. The gap between my soul to manifestation of the understanding of the environment maybe is 1 meter, maybe it's 100 meter. I can sustain 100 meter. On earth, over 100, 200 kilos, we can't, because the body cannot carry the weight on this planet. So the distance from the soul is fixed by the size of the brain and what it can do in respect to the gravitational pull and magnetical pull of this planet. Inner space is the same. You have to understand this is the limit. I do not want to give more because it endangers my soul, endanger my existence. So you find yourself a point of manifestation, distance of manifestation. Then you have to understand, if my soul will survive, I see through myself the color of me in respect to the environment, and there is a zone which is a danger zone. It means I can deplete, I cannot receive. I created such a field that I'm not receiving through my gravitational pull. So I have a strengthen or reduce my strength in manifestation. Then you find peace if it's comfortable. If the emotion of the soul does not create the wind of magnetic gravitational field within the structure of the soul that disturbs the working of it, then you manifest yourself. Or you become visible, or you make in a condition that the environment becomes visible to your eyes. The eye of the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. You can still go in deeper space through systems, through what you call the spaceships. But at the end of it, the systems you produce for these spaceships will carry the same knowledge, the same process, but collectively much stronger, deeper. So we have to understand what it means. How you open yourself to the understanding of where you come from. If you see, you come in touch, you feel another being. There is no sign language. There is no other languages. Nobody understands English or German or French. You speak through the language of the soul, as we thought before. You have to understand, universe is a peaceful environment. Unless you get yourself in a, what I call, for example, the magnetic gravitational field turbulences, which is dynamic because another condition is getting created, then you are 99% safe. We have not seen any wars in the space. And I hope human race does not start it either. And this is part of this teaching. As we saw in the present speech of the American president, shamefully spending 700 million for military application and not 700 million for feeding the nation and the world brings a lot of pain. In a space, 700 billion in whatever currency spent totally on creating more peaceful conditions for the universe. It's only man who buys tools to kill more that he thinks is peaceful. There is no terrorism in the space unless the man gets in and tries to terrorize, and he'll be handled it very correctly. There is no tools for war, and there is no gun policy for peace. You travel with your own soul and you are responsible. There is no armies, because when you make a collection of the souls, they all work according to the level of the peace which they all carry. So collective souls traveling together in space, like you travel in an aeroplane, is all peaceful. It means I don't take because I have what I need. I interact with you because I want to learn from you. I interact with you not because I want to take from you. Man is a taker, and it has to change to share. And this takes a lot of understanding. This takes a lot of understanding in how we share, in how we understand. In space, there are no wars, even though a lot would like to make us to believe because it sells stories. I come from deep space. I have seen none. It's our soul which travels, not our physicality. The process has to be very clear. When you reach a point in space, when you feel through the strength of your soul, you can extend your souls to the edges of the universe and feel the totality of it. The time of traveling and seeing the horizon of the soul of the man is the boundary of the universe, not the curvature of the planet Earth. This is what we have to learn. What I teach is, as I said, for universal community, as man cannot understand most of it, but they can imagine what could be available. It is available. It's not something to be. But the knowledge of the man is not advanced enough to see it. But those who have knowledge in their operation of their soul see and can operate. We all know the knowledge. It's for us to take the shackles of the limits of our prejudices of wanting to be only on earth, wanting only to be able to see the humans, has given us the restriction. Open the eye of the soul, you will see the soul of the universe. This is what and how it works in the universe. We have to be able to understand when we go into deeper space, how do we understand another soul? How do we work with another soul? Are we going to be the habit of the man to take? Or are we going to be the habit of the universe to give? A lot of you, even in production of your system, have not understood this. That's why in every aspect of the technology, people are failing. Because you always got the whole principle the wrong way around. In a coming time, we teach more about it. But now you have to understand, in so many ways, as I was teaching recently, I was told, you show a lot of green gardens, but can you show the path to them? The path to these, what I call pastures, is the understanding of the soul of the man, not a method how to make a coil or a GANs. As I've said many times, when you make the ganses, don't look at the physicality of the ganses, which 99.999% of you do. Look at the interaction of the fields which the ganses produce. Then you understand the interaction of the field of your soul. Because when you can feel the interaction of the fields of a system you made, it means you look at it, you touch it through the strength of your soul, not the physicality and tangibility of the existence of the gans or the body of the man. This is the difference between the true man of God and the true man of physicality. And we would like to see the God. But if you understand the creation, you understand the creator sees through the soul, not the physicality, as he takes the physicality in any dimension, anywhere in the universe. The creator does not manifest himself as a human on planet Zeus, and will be the physicality of the man in planet Zeus. This is what man thinks, this is what man gets, he makes suits for it, and he tries to confine the body of the man in different shape of spacesuits, where he does not understand he has the freedom of the soul of the man which wears no suit in the space of the universe. We have to understand the totality. We have to understand the reality. Then we gradually become creatures of the universe. What do we do in deep space when we see our soul needs energy? Do we go and rob another? Or do we give from our higher strength that it allows us to receive the strength we need by movement, by changing the position? We saw with magnets, which Rick showed a few weeks ago. You look at a system, when you put a magnet, the other magnets move. But you shouldn't look at the physicality of movement of magnets. Look which fields are being given to the point that you put the magnet in. You will see it will receive from many a higher strength, but it'll give more through its lower strength in gravitational field. This is how we absorb fields in the universe. And from what I see in the teachings and the people, man's knowledge has not matured to understand this. I explain this in many of the teachings in respect to the banana. The more of the banana you peel, the more beauty and energy is released from inside, which means you have access to more bananas to eat. The field of the universe are the same. The more you take of the outside, which is protection, the more you receive from inside, from the gravitational fields, which the others are there to give. This is the way the soul of the universe works. This is the way where the man has to mature into this knowledge. It's not something that you see, you understand, you grasp. You have to mature not only to grasp it, but to understand how to use the knowledge. How appropriately to bring it into the interaction that gives you what you need. Those of you who slowly get educated and mature in the operation of your soul will test, you will see, as I've said many times before. You need two entities of a large difference in field strength of gravitational and magnetical, that the interaction of the two leads to production of matter state or field state. We see it in the operation of the sun and the earth. Sun is hugely powerful. Earth is hugely weak. The interaction of the weakness, which has become matter state, in interaction with the fields of the sun, as I've said many times, is like a knife you put on the grinding machine. It creates different size of sparks. The interaction of the gravitational magnetic field of the earth and gravitational magnetic field of the sun creates two repulsion forces, which is the fields which are coming out, and two fields which are going in. This keeps the distance. Then it creates magnetical, is what has been reduced or what it needs to reach to the one to the other, which creates a gravitational. And in that process, the sparks are little part of the same. One spark, you can say, is hydrogen, but the bigger spark, bigger piece, when you put a knife to the grinder, is, let's say, gold. Now, if you imagine, and if you understood the teachings from the beginning, the soul of the man is the sun. And if you understood the teaching of last week, every element, every cell within the body of the man carries a soul. If you can gather those souls which are so weak as one energy in the palm of your hand, now that energy which you have created becomes the earth. The interaction between the sun, which is the soul of the man, with another sun, but in a lower strength, which is the structure of the soul of the elements of the body of the man in the hand of the man, becomes the earth, now grinded. The emotion, which is the interaction of the fields of the physicality in the interaction with the physical, with the fields of the soul, will create the entity which the emotion wants. Emotion wanted cancer in the prostate, it created it. Now the emotion wants gold in the hand of the man. How much would you like to produce? This is the wisdom of the universe. This is the only time we have seen this wisdom, which was just touched by, was used by two, Buddha and Christ. One in physical and one in intellect. So, what do you need? Why do we need to understand? Because then in the interaction of the soul of the man in the space, with the dimension of the physicality, you create the space within your soul, or you create the entity with the interaction of the field of your souls with the environment, and you manifest yourself. Blessed are those who understand. This is how easy it is. You are looking for spaceships to fly, but the spaceship of the man is within the soul of the man. The manifestation of the physicality of the man is the weakness of the man. If the man learns to travel with his souls the span of the universe, there is no need for a spaceship. Because the spaceship is the physicality of the man. I am the beginning, I am the end. The beginning comes from my soul, and the end is manifestation of physicality with the wishes of my soul. This is what we got to learn. This is part of the teaching. And those of you who understood the past few minutes of teaching, you have found the key to the universe. We keep on teaching it in the simpler languages, in the different versions, till one or the other rings the bell of peace on the soul of the man. Try to understand, not to work with the GANs. Try to understand the interaction of the field of the GANs. Then, once you understood, understand the GANs is the soul of the man. And the field it emits is a condition which will come. This is what I explained to the doctors in the doctor's teaching last week. A physician has to be a giver, not the certificate on the wall. He's a lover that by the interaction of his souls with the physicality of the man, gives to the man at a point of need what it needs to find peace at itself. Cancer will be gone within seconds. Diabetics will not exist. My wish is to give you an arm. As I do create. This is for the physicians to understand. Because, as I said to them, when you become a physician, you become the lover of the creation. That's what it means. You sign a paper in the university when you become a doctor, that you serve man, humanity. Now learn that signing has to be with the soul of the man. Then you serve the universe because you understood the process. Which one of you wakes up any time, middle of the night, early in the morning, to go and help and to alleviate the pain of another man? Doctors do, because they sign themselves to it. What a father do when he's in love with his child? He wakes up middle of the night, in the morning, whenever, to make sure the child is painless, has no temperature. He does it out of the love. So are the physicians. And every man has to be a physician for every being in the universe. Now you understand why in my teachings I kept on emphasizing on loving and giving, to give more without condition. This is the essence of the creation. Not what I receive, but what I give is important. Then we become true man of space. We have to understand the totality. And we understand the totality, we move on. We advance in the knowledge of peace. We have to understand, some of us have to do what they do for the others to learn from it. But do we need to learn? Or do we need to understand that we do not need to learn? We have to understand the working of the universe in its true meaning, and teaching of the GANs was one of them. You all got baffled and puzzled on how to make Ganses and what they do. But one thing you never looked at is the Gans is the soul of the man. It was for you to see an example of your own work. You are too physical. Try to work beyond it. Try to understand the interaction of the fields rather than the presence of the GANs or the GANs liquid or the nanomaterial. You will have whatever you need. Try to understand this gas I produce. What does it do in presence of another gas? But now change the gas into fields. Then your knowledge becomes complete. You got to understand the totality, but you have to be aware that you have a physicality. But do not get confused by understanding that the physicality behaves this way. Understand the physicality behaves this way because the fields have made the condition for it to manifest itself in this way. Find the operator, find the source, not the end. Man always looks at an end. This is why I even explained in KFSSI we have no exams. Because at the present education, you have to see what you learned at that point. But no one looks at how you might use the knowledge in the future from what you learn. This is the exam. Not passing a test. Not creating a physicality to confirm, I learned. We all learn everything, but we use it when we need it. They teach us how to use a ruler to draw a straight line in the first days of the school. But how many of us carries a ruler 24 hours a day in their pocket that might need it one day? We know how to draw a straight line. We can pick anything up and use it as a ruler. This is what has to become the knowledge of the man in a space. We teach so much, but you use it when you need it. Look at the ID card. How many times do you need it? You go to the bank, you travel, when you need it, you bring it out. You don't continuously keep it in the banking machine that one day when needed to, money needs to come out. This is what we have to learn from the process that we brought the physicality of the matter into nano and into gas, and the interactions of it in different ways. We have all the knowledge. When do we need it? It's the time when we use it. This is what we have to learn. Then everything falls into place. You have all the knowledges, you live somewhere, you need warmth, how to interact the gases you made, and once the warmth is created, you don't consider I made this and that because it works in the background. It creates the condition you need. I have thought over years many different ways to do the same thing, because it enlightens the soul of the man at different strength in different ways at different times. But the essence is the same at the end. I am a lover of peace, and I find whichever possible to let my other side to know how much I love. I love peace, and through different teachings I'll create all the conditions through different strength of the different souls that all become peaceful. But they have to understand why. What is the benefit for the others when I'm peaceful? Not what is for me to get to become peaceful. We got to understand. In the past half an hour in our teaching, what I explained to you about the space will take you millions of years to understand if you are not enlightened. But if you're enlightened, you have already become the entity of the space, the being of space, because you learned the teaching of space and you have practiced it. The teachings from now on are very short, but now is a lot of different ways to open it. And depends on how and what you understand. Any questions?
Mr. Kesh, I'll remind our attendees in the Zoom, they can put their hand up and then they can ask a question. We did have some questions regarding the banking system, whether it would be relying on the old fiat currency system or the new digital decentralized blockchain technology. Is that something that you would like to address, or is that more for your banker person that might be setting things up and whatnot?
The way we see it is we work on what we call internet banking, not much relying on the machines that you have to carry physically notes with you. As one nation, we don't have different currencies. So it's one currency nation. And then gradually becomes the totality of it, non-tangible. We've seen these things called bitcoins and this coin and that coin come into operation. We coin with a piece of land, not with the physicality of gold or whatever. There is no need to have different systems and different currencies. If locally they accept and understand it, they will change it. But you'll find out, because it's a free understanding of totality, a lot of things will change in understanding and will grow very rapidly. The new currency is one currency of one nation. And a lot of people will find their own way of what unit will be. And a lot of units will never be used because people understand I don't need to pay anything because it's from the same bank in the same pocket from one to another. I do this, I need it, is there. I grow and look after plantation because I love to do. I respect the planet, I respect the plants, I respect the animals which live with it. because I know I have everything with the card I carry. The incentive is not which machine. The incentive is how to create a piece without the machine knowing it's there if I need it. It takes time to understand.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
I knew you'll be the first one to ask a question. Yes, Azar.
I just waited to see if anybody has any question. Actually, I have two questions. One is regarding the is regarding like people in when I was in Tehran. It's a couple of times I've been there and I see this thing, and I see a lot of children who ask for money. And one time happened to me last year. I was in a bazaar buying some nuts. A little boy, like 6 years old, pulled on my clothes and he said, "Can you buy me lunch?" And I said, "Okay, wait here. Let me finish my shopping. Then I can buy you lunch." As I was buying some nuts, I asked the gentleman to give me 1 kilo of fig and 1 kilo of dry walnut. And I gave it to him and I said, "Okay, let's go get you lunch." And I said, "What do you want?" He says, "Chalo kebab." And then when we went to the shop, he said, "Can you give me 4 of them?" I said, "Okay, get you 4 of them." So I got him 4 of that, and then I gave it to him. He said, "Can you give me some money?" I said, "Okay, don't push it because I don't want to give you some money. I gave you the food." And then there was another boy constantly whispering to him when I was standing to me. I said, "Is he your brother?" He said, "No, I don't know him." I said, "So why are you talking to him?" He says, "He's somebody's around here." So after he was gone, the other boy came to me running after me, "Give me some money, give me some food." I said, "Look, I just gave, if he's your brother, I bought 4 of the food so you guys can share." So then he became very violent. He started pulling and pushing and stuff. And another gentleman came in and helped me to get a taxi home. And I came home, and my dad said to me, like, every morning there is a couple of van, they come in and drop these kids in different markets, different places, and these kids get this stuff. Especially they're looking for money. They have owners. They That's why they're doing this. And then this time we went in, it was again two little boy, like a 7, 8 years old, approaching for the same thing. So and then there was in a BBC falsity this time that England is taking 2,000 of these kids to England. But then I told my dad, "Who are these people who are taking these kids?" I wonder, because are they legitimate people taking it? Are they giving them education, things like that? I didn't know. But my wondering, because it's not only kids, I also saw a lot of older people that asking for money. I mean, whatever I could do. Some of them actually sell something like a little cloth or something. But how can we reach to these people that they don't have to do that?
Um, Azar John, I went through the same process as you um, in Tehran 8 years ago when I was there. I was what we call very green. Um, After I was kept in the hotel for some weeks and they put me in the safe house. I went for a walk and I was so joyful that I could walk the streets of Tehran after so many years. And being like you, very simple, I was walking down the road and this couple with a baby in their hand approached me and said, "Excuse me, we come from a village for the treatment of our child, and they put us in a hotel near the railway in center of Tehran, and could you help us with some food while we are here?" And being European mandate and very sentimental, going home, I helping a brother, I gave them some money, which is like, God knows, maybe half a month of salary of somebody, whatever. And I was very proud of doing this because I came home and I not just brought the knowledge, but I could help. About a few hundred meters later, I came across another couple with a baby with the same story, and I said, "Oh, you fool. You fell for it, they so designed." Um, it is not what we gave, it's the soul of the intention which counts. On the other hand, how can we stop this? There is no end. I've never seen a beggar in Africa. I've been there many, many, many times. If somebody in Africa comes to you, asks for food, you give them food and they're thankful for it. Never seen beggars in China. I understand it's become a business for people to access money very easily. Here in Italy, when we go to shopping centers, we always see at each gate of the shopping center a black man is standing asking for money that I can eat. But he's there every day and he takes money every day. You go to the cafes, it's a business, it's become a business. I can get money without doing anything. But what about if we allow them to have the food and when they ask for it, you give them the card, sign yourself. We all carry an iPhone, we all carry a laptop, we all carry something. All these people carry the latest mobile phones and they smoke the most expensive cigarettes I see in Italy. It's the way we can give physically or we can give emotionally. And then what about if we give these cards to all these kids which they ask you and you gave them the food? I've done that. Carol and I, we always do that. We see them, they ask for, we buy them the food, we don't give them the money. So, okay, you're hungry, come in. We take them to the cafe, we take them where they're standing, and we buy them the food. If you're hungry, this is the food. But when you give these cards, I've seen the abuse in the British system, and one of the things which is my main concern and looking in the background in setting up these cards is what I learned in Britain. In Britain, everybody has a social card, or they take money or given money national, weekly or monthly. And the drug traffickers, they take these cards from them. These payments, they get drug. And I've seen drug traffickers carrying 40, 50 of these, what they call payment books. And I asked them, how are you carrying? He says, that's the only way I get paid for my drugs. And I was shocked. And one of the systems which we are looking at in the background is that only the child can take what it needs. Nobody can push. We monitor in the background. But gradually it becomes, I have a card, why do I need? You got to understand, child trafficking and slavery is heavy. Prostitution and everything else, child abuse. We see them every flight from Africa into Belgium carries at least one abused child to be killed or be abused. We know this, and international police is looking into it. We know the airlines, we know the embassies which are issuing these visas. But why should a mother sell the child? We know the sources are used in orphanages. They take a child without a birth certificate and it becomes national property to be abused. They do with prostitution the same. Why does a woman needs to sell her body? Or has she been enslaved in a way with drugs, or she's been bought? We see this in North India. You got to understand one thing. In my business life over 20, 30 years in Europe and around the world, I have worked with international organizations who look and work through different kind of trafficking. So I carry a lot of knowledge of where the problem is and how in setting these cards we have to be watchful. In North India, they sell a girl of 6, 7 years old, near puberty, for a lot of money, which is peanuts to us. To the family is a lot of money because a girl is a burden. The girl is walked all the way or trafficked all the way to cities, or if they're beautiful, night, they feed them for a year or two as a slave labor, and then they traffic them into the Persian Gulf as a sex tools, and most of them die in the first contact with the Arab man because they're too young and they cannot take a man. We are fully aware of these operations. It's not just in Iran. We know the trafficking of the boys from Africa into Saudi Arabia and the rest. I've been part of these organizations, part of the United Nations Peace Works, part of the United Nations Child Trafficking, part of the British government drug trafficking enforcement. When we produce these cards, a lot of things are going into the process. It is not sentimentality. It's understanding most of or some of the problems and building it to the system. That the child cannot abuse you, give me, and then take the food for the kids who have no food, but the money goes to the boss. We are very aware of all these things. I spent a long time with British drug trafficking enforcement officers. I made a business out of reallocation after the confiscation by the government officers. And I've been well educated by drug trafficking, human trafficking officers of the British government. It's part of the businesses I owned, so I understand it fully. And this, we are building into this card, that what you saw in Tehran, in India, in United States, in Europe, cannot repeat itself. One of the things which we are considering heavily is how to structure about child abuse in working. We know a lot of this happens in India. India is one of our main targets of the work, that they sell children to the death of the mother or the father or grandfather, and the child becomes a slave worker. We don't pay the paymasters, we give enough to the child that it does not need to do. The rest is part of the work which we are doing with different governments to sort these things out. Making one nation, it needs a lot of mature thinking, no sentimentality. Once we convert the military force expenditure into peaceful expenditure, you will find a lot of these things will eradicate itself. Because some of the military and police are part of these organizations of child trafficking. They benefit by it. It's an income to them. If you travel in Kinshasa, you'll find out the policeman on the street stops a few cars, but if you're a white man in a car, your car gets stopped in majority of the junctions, because the policeman knows there is a white man, they pay. Because the payment from the government is not enough to support his family. We become that support, that the car with a white man does not need to be stopped to be what I call extracted. I've traveled around the world, we know, we see, we understand. And these cars are getting implemented in a way that even workers of the governments who do not get paid enough, that they have to spend 2 or 3 jobs a day to be able to support the family, to be with their children, that they get paid by us, that they spend time to educate the soul of the child. There is no sentimentality, it's understanding the problem. These are the conditions by taxes which is created, which we are trying to reverse. I saw it, let me explain. Yes.
Mr. Kesh, you know what happened last time, because I wasn't, I didn't know what's going on. something interesting was happening, which I trying to figure out what was it. Because every time, last time I went there, um, these boys did this, and I got into a taxi, and then another gentleman got me a taxi, and then I told the gentleman where I want to go, but I wasn't sure about where my father's house is and how to get there. He asked me, where do I get there? So I said, do you have your phone? Can I call my father? So I, I called my father, and then I asked my father to give him the direction. And then the minute he got the direction, he says to me, no, it's not this much, it's 5,000 more. And I said, what's going on with you guys? Every time something happens, you believe and change something else, because it has happened to me many times. And he said, no, it is like this. And I said, okay, can you stop the car so I can get off here? Because it seems a lot of dishonesty going on, and I see a lot of lies. And I said to him, what is going on? You guys call yourself Muslim. I'm not even practiced becoming Muslim, but I'm more Muslim than you guys are. And he laughed. And then anyway, he took me to the house and charged me the same, but I gave him some tip. Then I get the next day I went to another area. I get a taxi, and the guy, because I know they always throw, if because sometimes in my talking I say okay. The minute they hear the okay, they know you're not from here. They want to charge you triple. Anyway, I said to him, how much would it cost? My father told me how much it costs usually. Then I said to him, look, you're charging more. And he says, why are you so not trusting me? I said, I tell you the story. So I get into his car, and I told her all the story. So he started to tell me that he has a daughter who has to spend 1 million a week for her medication, this and that. And he said, he doesn't ask for any money. He works a lot to pay for his daughter. So when we get to the house, I gave him like maybe 10 times more money than it was supposed to be. Like I gave him really good amount of money. And then he looked at me, he says, can you give me 2 million? Because I told you the story. I said to him, what makes you want a 2 million from me? Because 2 million is like about $500. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then he was preparing me in the car to accept to get $2 million. And I told my actually when I told my father says, when your sister comes from London, she never get any of these things. When you come from the US, you always have all these people approaching you. There's something going on with you. I said, I don't know that, but this is what happened. So one of the things I realized, they do in any way they can, and with lying, which to me wasn't understandable. Like they call themselves Muslim, but left and right they lie to get some money. I was thinking maybe it's such a difficult life, and they really don't have much to do it, or whatever it is. I just couldn't figure out why it has so much change, because I don't remember to be like this 30 years ago, 35 years ago. But that was my experience. And even with the little boys this time at my house, I was going to buy some pastry, and they approached me. They said, "Oh, I'm hungry." I said, "Let's go to the pastry. I'll buy you a box of pastry." They said, "No, we want money because we want to go get a hamburger, charcoal hamburger with French fries." I said, "Okay, charcoal hamburger and French fries is right three blocks on. I can walk with you. I get you charcoal hamburger." And then another one says, "No, I got hit by a motorcycle. Look at my stuff." He pulled his hands up. I said, "Look, I'm a doctor. That's not a motorcycle accident. That's a scratch. It's going to heal very fast. If you want a charcoal hamburger, I take you there." They said, "No, if we get there, it's going to get cold by the time we get home." They were trying in so many ways to get money out of me. And finally,
Yes, you see, it's very interesting what you talk about. We have to understand institutionalization. We have it here in Italy. Here in Italy, people, adults, teenagers, whatever, they are employed to steal. It's a job. Here in Italy, the guy goes out of the house 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, whatever. He has to bring back so much money for the guy who financed this house, or he pays him monthly as an income. The same is with these children. These children are supposed to bring so much a day for the master because he pays for their food, and even they might get the food from you, or it's the way he paid for the children. A lot of things goes behind child slavery. These children are bought or taken. If the child goes missing, everybody starts looking. But if the parents are paid for meager amount of money that the child does not need to be fed because the parents can't afford it, then the child becomes a property. It's a 9 to 5 job. He has to return so much every day to the boss because it's paid for. It's the same with the prostitution. These are the position which we understand. I've been in the same, what you tell me has happened to me in many cities in the world. They see you're a foreigner and everything goes 3 times over. Or you have to pay because this is the rule. This happened to me in New York. In New York, I went from the airport to the hotel. The taxi driver, an Indian guy, wanted to charge me $50 more. I said, no, why? Your meter says it's so much. I walked in, I gave the money to the, what do you call it, the doorman in the hotel. I said, this is what it says on this meter. This is just, I called the police and everything else. I said, you do whatever you like. Just because I'm not a New Yorker, I don't pay this. I left the money and I went in the hotel. The guy made a lot of shouting, but the management knew what he was doing. And at the end, he got paid. He was a sick man with a turban on his head. This abuse happens everywhere. It's the nature of having to be able to do. And when you speak, we don't need to speak your language. I walked into Tehran, but the first day I was telling you, I went down the road, saw the two couples and the children. Few minutes before, I walked out of the secure house into a chemist and I said one sentence, no more. And the guy said, when have you come back from outside? We don't speak this way anymore. So we are like a red flag sticking up everywhere. As I said, in Iran, we are Iranians, but we are foreign in our homeland because the culture has changed, the language is spoken changed, the ethos and the name of the religion has changed, but there is no religion. The only religion is abuse and torture of the soul of the man. Doesn't matter in which nation you live in. I've been in Kinshasa, I've been through the same thing as you have. In Ghana, we always say the outsiders pay 10 times more than insiders. Ghanaian live with 300 CDs a month comfortably. With $3,000, which is about 15,000, we cannot live. It's impossible. You don't have the food, you don't have anything. We see this abuse institutionalized in the government structure. The foreigners need it, they have to pay for it. The structure of the New Keshe Foundation in Ghana, we can build the amount of money they're asking there to just to, what do you call it, create partitions and whatever. We can build a house here in Europe with it. But these are foreign investors, they can do. But they don't understand they're taking from their own nation. We cannot change these things, and it's so institutionalized. Everybody is robbing everybody. But with these things, it takes time. As I said at the beginning, when they have it, it'll be mayhem. It'll be.
No, I told these boys, do you like to be on the street? They said no. I said, do you know how to get out of this? They said no. I said, I can tell you what or how. He said, how? I said, once you stop lying to me, like people like me, and you start telling the truth, like your life is going to change forever. And they looked at me, and then they left. And actually, I had a little bit of fun with them, because I said to him, they came the next day, Friday, and then I said, Friday, you guys are working. Today is supposed to be a rest day because Friday is like a Sunday over there. They said, no, we have to work because I have to work for my mother. My mother is the light of my eyes, and I'm the light of eyes of my mother. I said, I don't think any mother would like to the children to work on a weekend. There's something wrong with this picture.
Also, John, but these things is happening for centuries. We're talking about present, but what about the past? These things is not news. It's thousands of years. You see, we travel everywhere, we see the same. But it's not only present today, it's happening thousands of years.
But we we didn't have this in Iran like 34 years ago when I
But
was.
we
had
have
it
not
on
experience what.
Azerbaijan. We had it when I was a child, 45 years ago when I left Iran.
Correct.
This is, but we were innocent. We could not. We didn't have the eye to see. We don't see begging on certain nations because they forbid it. You cannot do it. But I was talking to the Chinese people sometimes ago, very recently. They said we have 10 million people in China who go hungry, but we are supporting millions of people outside China not to sleep hungry, because these people, we know we can support them while we're not. I love the ethos of the Chinese government. They know what they have to support and they do the best they can, but they're spending their money on the other nations to make sure they are not hungry, that then they have to find a way to get to China to feed themselves. This is the way the ethos has to go, not spending 700 billion on arms to become more. We have the highest, biggest ever expenditure on arms by the American President in United States, what they call United Nations speech in the past few days. Is the most shameful speech I've ever heard a president make. I'm making arms to kill, and it's to the benefit of my nation. One nation doesn't need arms. Can you imagine if we spend 700 billion changing things around the world? There will be none of these things.
Actually, if we stop the money, Mr. Kish, if we stop the money, then these things will stop it itself, huh?
That's why these cards are getting produced, to stop the process. If somebody tells you, I pay you so much, you have to work because you have to feed your child. When you say no, I have a card I can do, I come to work because I enjoy to work. Some people will become lazy, this there, I take it. But 80%, 90% of the population will follow. This has what has been created in the British European system. In the European system, in England, for example, we employ a guy, we say, okay, we give you 100, let's say £100 a month. He says, no, I'm getting 85 from the government. I've got to work 40 hours a day, 4 weeks, that's 160 hours for 115 euro pound extra is not worth it. I'm not doing it. So I stay unemployed, but I work on the street, do something here, do something there. I get 85 from the government and 200 most probably doing odd jobs. We see that here in Europe heavily. This has become the social structure created in Europe with social security has become the noose around the neck of the governments, because they have forced the nations, their own nationals, to become the thief of their own nation. The taxation is wrong. The process of the using of the taxation is wrong. One of the reasons I explained very clearly, we discussed this with 2 ministers very recently. They tell me, why don't you push and release the plasma power unit? Let me explain to you what the plasma power unit can do. The effect of the plasma power unit in the European economy is disastrous. In Europe, you will not have a home to live, you will not have nothing in your house if we launch it. Let me explain what I explained to the ministers. In launching the new plasma power generators, which is the electrical system, you can use it on a mechanical motors because it works in different way, we have explained. Now, you deplete your nation of millions of dollars on a tax on fuel. Immediately. The effect is not next year, my next generation. Today you start buying fuel using the new power generators. In 7 days, if you put 1 million pieces in Italy, and let's say 1 million pieces of the power generator in the cars, each car on average pays something like £20 a week taxes. If you use, let's say, 30 liters of fuel a week, the effect is so immediate that the national reserve, which relies on these money to come in to pay taxes, will not be there. Within days, the national government collapse because they don't have the money to support the road, the social security, the pension, and the rest of it. We have to establish the one nation banking system. You'll find out we are talking in the background to other national banks to join us to become part of this one nation, because they cannot sustain these national security payments. The biggest burden on nations is military and national security, which means paying for people, the old pensioners. I have put proposals to a couple of nations how we can change these things. So now we produce 1 million, or say 10 million new power generators in Italy, home and car. Italian national government would not have the reserves to pay for people to buy food unless it produces money without guarantee, which they are doing, or join part of the Keshe Foundation system that all the nationals can have what they need. We support it through collective efforts. Then the education on the television system will change. It brings the social soul level up. We are giving to you what we need. This school needs teacher. This street needs cleaning. People will get fed up of staying at home. They do it. They'll come into it to do it. The introduction of the generators will be the end of a lot of things around the world people have got used to. No one from Africa will come here because they don't have even to feed themselves then. Why am I going to a place where I'm worse off than I'm better off? The biggest problem I have in releasing the power generator is the destruction of so much, which is, some of it is good, but the loss of national income, which has now become totally dependent. Mrs. Thatcher brought these things in 1981, in 1980s. Increasing the taxes on fuel to spend on the nation to pay the death of a nation now has become the nation robbing the nation, nationals, to be able to give to nationals where they need it, plus spending money, most of
I think we lost Mr. Keshe's battery.
It's a bit ironic in a way. You should have a plasma battery in a plasma pocket battery perhaps. We need to develop that. It would be handy for people in emergency situations especially. I think we're close to it actually with some of the technologies that have been developed by the Keshe Foundation and knowledge seekers around the world. It's just a matter of scaling up. Okay, it looks like we might be a minute or two for Mr.
Yes,
Keshe.
it's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Our
Second or
system,
two.
can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sorry, one of our system dropped off, so we come back on another system. We try to have a backup on this. I don't understand why, but somehow it dropped itself off. Maybe they didn't like what I was talking about.
Mr. Keshe,
Yes.
it's just temporarily. I just kicked back in. Don't worry.
The process which we are explaining, a lot of people ask, and like what we received in the disaster situation, that can you help us with the plasma power units? The process is When we release this, what's going to happen? The system will leak around the world. We saw how people opened up the Maghreb systems. And then what happens to it? Then it'll create mayhem. The release of the plasma power unit is to be able to deliver a total understanding of the system. We did a trial we did with the Maghreb systems. The Maghreb systems around the world are all showing 25, 30, 40, 50% reduction. Nobody's talking. A lot of people have built it, are using it themselves. We have gone to the next step. I'm going to switch over just 1 second, please. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Now there's background.
Okay, it's just disconnecting the other system. The whole process of releasing the Maghreb power unit generator will destroy nations like Saudi Arabia overnight. The American oil industry will collapse. But you got to understand, we have left number of units around the world that if anything happens to us, they will release it. I've made sure that this time no ransom is taken. Nobody can take us to ransom. But we are handling it with a lot of wisdom. You understand the problem we can cause, but at the same time we are setting the structure in the background that cannot be there. All the financial resources will be changed. It has no choice. There is no choice. The beauty of it is that most of you who made the GANs can do it, but you don't see it how. And it's amazing how it's erased from a lot of your understanding. Maybe it's the wishes of my soul that the man will open it up when the totality of human race is mature with it. It's not something strange from the no man's land. So the structure we have to understand, that we change everything at the same time. As I said at the beginning of today, we have responded, even though I have a lot of problem with Canadians in what they've done to me personally, but I close my eyes to in what I hear from the new Prime Minister of Canada. We respond accordingly. We start investing in Canada, which up to now we walked away because we were not sure of the government's behavior. The new Prime Minister speaks peace, we respond with it. We're looking for investments in indigenous organizations, that they become educated with what they left behind with their present knowledge. Now they become experts in plasma technology. That's what he says in the speech in United Nations, investment in indigenous. We are investing. This is part of the Keshe Foundation Canada, of manufacturing to be taken, education to be done, that, okay, they miss so much, but now get to the top. This is part of our work. This is part of what we go to the management team, that we work this way in Canada now. We respond accordingly. We are doing the same thing in Africa. We are doing the same thing in China. We are doing the same thing in South America. The Keshe Foundation expansion is beyond anyone's imagination. But we work totally in silence. Those who work around us, they know. The way we are structuring the works on Tuesdays, now the actual, what you call, the one nation government is talking to you through the Universal Council every Tuesday. They are there for you to bring solutions, to bring an insight how we can change things a better way, that the old way does not exist. We don't fight the old way. We bring a new situation, new condition. This is the beauty of the work of the foundation. And it's not me anymore. You have 27, 28 members of the languages. You have 6 members of the Universal Earth Council. You have members of the core team, and we stand solid. Now the nation governing body is speaking to the nation. on the open channels every week, every day if needs be. No government, no governing body has ever been in this position. Some of the Universal Council members who came in, they walk away because the responsibility will be too high and they did not expect this. They just thought it is a title and I can use my soul, and yes, I'm present. Now you will be present because the soul is there to serve. But at the same time, they need education. They need to understand how to work. Physicality has a lot of problems, but the running of this planet needs no master, has no master, and the only master of the man is the soul of the man. I was told the master is comes and you'll watch on the sideline. Those who planned it, they shot themselves in the foot. The one who was intermediary is put out. The beauty of life is understanding that life in the universe, not on the village planet of Earth. The banking system, what we see, abuse, child trafficking, human trafficking, government sponsoring trafficking because it brings them some whatever, has to stop. You say, British government says they're taking 2,000 of these children into England. But how many of them want to go? How many of them become part of the abuse system which works within the British structure? Read the British report on the child trafficking. 4 children trafficked from Ghana into England through Belgium last year have been reported killed or abused. This is official British government news. Children disappeared in orphanages in Africa, appear in Antwerp, appear in trafficking into the police, hand of the police of Britain, and out of those, 4 have been abused or been killed last year alone. And that's from one nation. Why the Iranians allow this to happen, I don't understand, if they are. But would the Iranian government says, yes, we give you the 2,000, give us the plan, which school, which university, where they're going to be, who's going to be to the fostering, then is a correct way. Because the Iranian government stands by its children. Otherwise, yes, to have them, how many of them are going to abuse? How many of them will be allowed to go back to Iran to see their parents once or twice a year? Cholo kebab does not taste the same as chips and chips. This is what we have to understand. We move people. Listen to the speech of the Canadian Prime Minister. Admission of a government at the highest level in abuse of the past to correct it is perfectly explained, but the correct way. Prime Minister Trudeau explains it very clearly. What was done wrong and how he's correctly putting it right. Bless his soul. We allowed children to go from Iran to the United Kingdom, 2,000 of it. Every single one has to be monitored. In education, what's the use? Are we sending slave children or prostitute children or child abuse to UK for the British to have one? Or the Iranian government stands by, we want monthly report, full monitoring of these children. They come back to Iran as doctors, as scientists, as an asset to the nation, not another child trafficking. Is the British government stands by to report it? It should. And I know, as I lived in Britain for 30 years, there is a structures for these things, and it's the most perfect system in England. English child protection system is one of the best in the world. And they can do that. Then we have a benefit from sending 2,000 children to be taken off the street. Taken out of the abuse, not to be abused again somewhere else. This is what we have to learn. This is what the past experience, as Armand said, it's been going on for centuries. It's going on for thousands of years. Now we can change it. We have the knowledge, we have the technology, we have the means, we have the financial efforts, and most of all, we have the soul of the man who's becoming peaceful. This is what it counts. This is what is important. It's not only from Africa to Europe. In India, internally child abuse. In other part of the world, the same. Child slavery, human slavery. We see a lot of young girls brought here. I can walk out of this office within 5 or 10 minutes from center of big cities in Italy. You see girls 18, 19, 16, 17 on the street with bikinis standing on the street prostituting, and the police allows it. 3 or 4 of them on one chair waiting for clients. This is the reality of living in Italy today. To you it must be shocking, but we see it every day. Any of our knowledge seekers who've been to Italy, they can see it. You don't see it even in center of Rome. You see it in some back streets that the public don't see. This is a child trafficking, this is a human trafficking. Why should a girl stand with a bikini on the street prostituting with a bus watching? 4 or 5 of them, street row of them. You want me to go out? Within 10 minutes I can bring you videos to see. It's not just children man abuses. Physicality of the woman, the soul of another being, has become the habit. This is what we got to change. That a mother in India does not need to sell a child because he cannot feed it and it becomes a burden in the future. If she becomes a bride, it's the responsibility of social structure of the nation to pay for her wedding. That the mother does not need to let the pain of a child going, not knowing what happens, and the child dies by abuse in Saudi Arabia or in Middle East. This is where the change comes. But to change, as Ahmed said, thousands of years of work in a few weeks, it takes time. And it's very rapid the way we are doing it. If the human race can stand the shock, is another problem. How many of us goes to India to teach the people in their villages that this is the food? You can learn how to make gold from the coconut shell, then I don't need to sell my child to the man who gives me $50 or $10 for a child. As part of the United Nations work, I've explained to you, we had to go through the pain to understand how we get the children who are run on trafficking from Africa into Middle East. We pay for them to release them, and then they capture them again. We buy them back again 3 months later from another bunch of gang, because the child does not even know where he comes from, doesn't even know his name, doesn't know which village he comes from, but he knows he had a mother. Love of the mother was there, but I don't know which mother anymore. Or can we go to the soul of the child, through it find the soul of the man and the mother, and bring them together? Which can be done. This is not theory, this is not sentimentality. What we have, the knowledge we deliver, it's taking me time to structure it. You don't steal earring from a woman trying to ransom the husband. We respond accordingly. We don't steal a child to do the same. There is no sentimentality. There are over 100, 150 million people who follow the Keshe Foundation work. Now, I thought, now it's time for you to to change the humanity. I do all the work in the background. I, as the Keshe Foundation management team and the people around the Keshe Foundation, which is all of you. I'm made man in the image of myself. Any other question?
Mr. Kesh, my second question has to do with the space technology, and I'm kind of confused about the timing of everything is happening, because there was a point you talk about. There's a time is going to come that there's not going to be any kingship, and then the soul is going to come and talk. All the people who are the king, they're going to disappear, and so.
You see, Azerbaijan, you're still looking for a physical manifestation. If your soul has managed to reach that point which you talk in Iran, you have already ended up with a kingship. There is no kingship for you. You are equal to the others.
No, I understand there is no kingship for me, but I'm talking about the going to become peaceful as a planet. Because if I become peaceful and get to that, is not the problem. I mean, that's not the point. We're trying to get the whole planet to the space. That's our mission. So
the thing is, first of all, we are in a space. Is letting us to become part of the family is the point. Secondly, if you have reached the point of what you explained to us in Tehran, you have already passed the point of kingship. You have become one. Not just because you're American educated and you're going there to show your brass and everything else. We show the sign of equality through the soul with what you conduct. That's where the kingship is finished. Kingship is not a man who crowns himself as a king. Kingship is understanding of the souls is equal to the others. Then the others will happen step by step. That is the change. Change from the top always brings resistance from the bottom. Change from the bottom always changes the top. You look at what happened in Spain in the past couple of weeks. They worked for a long time to be what they are because of their language. Because of the culture, the language created the emotion of the soul they understand. And by voting, they achieved it. Because the soul finds freedom to speak its language. We hear from the Prime Minister Trudeau in his speech. He says, we forced them to forget their cultures and their language to force our way on it. And now we let them to flourish it and learn it themselves. Because we speak to our soul through our language. And the kingship comes when we are all equally free to use and to have access to our soul and to the language we speak to our soul. So, you have already achieved. You are one of the first people, maybe many of us, not just you, have achieved to become ending the kingship. The kingship of a soul over physicality and the others will bring the totality. You sent me a text this morning about your brother in the United States. And I've seen many like this. It's a pleasure. Maybe that man will change the life of many, because it's a taxi. Sit somebody in there, they have to sit with him, listen to him while he's trucking. He can change many. This is how it should be. The kingship is not just a king who abuses other children for him to be and other people. The kingship is the kingship of the soul of the man over the others that is higher in soul than the others. When you become equal, you have already achieved it. Any other question?
thank you.
You're welcome. Try to understand when you open the doors of the science in the space, it's the same for the man here. When you do not feel or you do not want to be part of, you can't promote your own soul. You can promote your own position of physicality if you see the physicality is the essence of the change. We got to understand and we got to teach not how the GANs is made. In most of the workshops you run, which is not controlled by the Keshe Foundation and setting up correctly, is for people to understand what the manifestation of the GANs and the fields of it is compared to the soul of the man, the physicality of the man, the field the man creates. The knowledge seekers workshops has to be on that way than more than teaching the GANs. The teachings which is going on in the Monday morning teaching workshops has to lead to that point. That people understand it's not just a GANs, a core, a dynamic core or whatever, but the essence of the fields which allows us in comparison to the soul of the man and what it can create and manifest. You have everything. You come and tell us what you want to produce. We show you how to do it. Then that thing has to be how is used to elevate or allow a soul to be free. Not just to have a free energy and then dropping more. Rick, is there any other question, or do you want to show some people who wanted to show some of the development they have made?
Well, let me see. We had Boniface had his hand up, and I promoted him to a panelist. Did you have a question there,
Thanks,
Boniface?
Rick. Thanks, Rick. Boniface here. Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning.
I have a small question. It's a different type of question. But we understand from the fields, the magnetic fields we have, and their interaction, we have all the plasma that's created. Whether we're talking about electrons or atoms or stars or galaxies. You chose to use the term plasma for this science. And my question has to do with why you chose that particular term, since, you know, most of us come to this knowledge knowing something about or haven't heard about, you know, plasma television and blood plasma and what have you. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the distinction and why you chose the term so you can easily differentiate between the two?
Yes, it's very easy for me. I'm a nuclear physicist.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the structure you have to understand as part of the teaching of the nuclear industry containment, we always speak about magnetic field containment. If you look at the proposition in CERN or whatever, a plasma to a nuclear physicist is a soup of fields. Where plasma to a doctor is what you have when you inject. It's to us in the English language means the essence of freedom to be able to have. This is what I understand as a nuclear physicist. It's the freedom of the field for them to be able to do what they like. Your plasma is the freedom of what you get in the hospital as an injection, or your body has a plasma. It's body floats within the body to serve. And there is no more appropriate word than plasma in the knowledge of the nuclear physics, where energy is free and traveling in the space dimensions of the magnetic field itself. This is why we use the plasma term plasma. Is the common language as what uses it for different application. It means the transparency of the entity from the point of knowledge that it serves or gives. It's very easy for me. To me, it's a natural progress. We are taught in nuclear industry. We only control, we can control, we can contain nuclear radiation by a heavier material or by what they call materials which are or can slow down the neutron. But if you look at it scientifically, this is what I had a problem as a nuclear physicist with my professors. What we use them as what intermediaries or slowing down the neutrons or whatever is under the magnetic field. Nothing else. Is not that we put moderators in the nuclear reactors or we put reflectors or absorbers. It's just how do we pack these fields. I can stop a nuclear reactor leakage with creating a heavy field without any matter. We do it now within the Fukushima situation. Is understanding the plasma is a freedom of the field, how we want to compact it. And that's why it was chosen. It's a correct terminology if you understand the true meaning of the nuclear industry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was trying to
something.
I was trying to ask Alex if he would like to show his example of fields and GANS water bottles. He had a question about that, I believe. Alex, did you want to go ahead on that? Not sure if he's there right now. I can try to unmute to see what happens. I'm unmuting.
Rick, are you talking
Hello?
to me?
I'm talking to, no, actually, I was trying to reach the
Alex.
other Alex, but
Alex
now that you're here.
Alex, you're here, you got to speak. We've been waiting for you for a long time.
Okay,
Hi, darling, how are you?
I'm well.
How's your health?
Yeah, just managing, pushing by.
It's a gift to hear you. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
You're a member of the Earth Council for Africa. We've been waiting you for a long time.
Oh, all right. Yeah, well, there's nothing really special to talk about the Earth Council here, except for the fact that anywhere I go about me is full of misery, and then it's really difficult to contain that. So and I think it's the same thing all over the world. So it's just about that, you know. And then hopefully, I hope we can be able to contain that one way or the other. That's it, really.
You know, tonight we have a meeting at the Earth Council. Would you join us?
Yeah, because my internet is stable now, so I can join anytime.
Oh, thank you very much. It's nice to
Yes.
hear your beautiful voice. Hopefully we meet soon in Ghana.
You coming to Ghana soon?
I have a home there, huh? I'm a Ghanaian resident.
That's true. That's true.
We'll be there. Okay, what would you like to enlighten us while you're here?
It's nothing really special to enlighten about. It's just, except of course, if you want me to make some really special, request.
You tell us what you would like to tell us as a member of the Earth Council.
It's a special request I'm trying to make because I've been trying to make this the plasma swimming pool in the SSI complex in Nigeria here. Now I'm getting stuck because the plasma swimming pool is halfway done, and then I'm nowhere near how to be able to afford the rest of it. So I'm just trying to see if maybe the public can help us to complete the project
How
here.
much do you need?
We need about $20,000 extra. That's what we need to be able to complete the project here.
What does it do?
It's a plasma swimming pool. It's a new project we're doing. We've configured the swimming pool like the health reactors. Dr. Rodrigo's showed us on his reactors, and then we've embedded that into the swimming pool. So hopefully, when you go into the swimming pool and swim, whatever malady you have is going to be relieved. And then there's some part of the swimming pool that if you go to that direction, you're going to be fed because we put some food ganses in parts of the swimming pools as well.
Alex, I
Yes.
pay for it. The foundation pays for it.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
It'll be in your account Monday morning.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. So hopefully, I'm going to be able to take
Explain
data.
to us more. Explain to us more.
Okay. Well, if you want, I don't know if I can go out and show you what's happening in the pool right now because
You want to share your camera with us?
Okay, if I can do that, just 1 minute. I'm not going to be able to show myself because I'm really rough and I'm ill. I have the parties all over me. Sorry.
Have you recovered from the accident?
Partly the problem from the incident, not the robbery incident.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have because while I was being adopted, I was being beaten with the butts of the guns all over me, and then I still feel the pains all over me. So I have the pain parts attached to it. Can I have my video on now? Okay.
Yeah, open. Yes. Hi. You got to open it up.
Can you
on the screen? Yeah, you're there.
Okay, I don't know if I can be able to turn it and show you the.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
I'll show you
see your face and we see your finger in your nose.
All right, I'm showing you the swimming pool and then those who walk in on it. You see, that is it there. This is the complex. This is the complex of the whole KFS in Nigeria. And
Alex, so try to keep the camera as steady as you can so we can get a good shot of it there. Just sort of slowly pan around, it helps. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you explain all these holes around and what you're doing exactly?
Okay, at the extreme end where you're looking at the far right end, you have the this side is configured with the food ganses. Already embedded the food ganses in the walls, and then the other side you have the health ganses like the reactors. David, please can you stop that a little bit? So I have the reactors on this side of the walls, and here also we have some reactors. But the other side, at the far side of it, we have just the food ganses. So if you go to the other side of it, and then you swim there, you're gonna have the energies of the food, and then if you come here, you get the energy. I mean, if you seek whatever malady you have, you'll be able to get well, and then here as well.
Are you, Alex John? Are you using the same principle as I used for your malaria?
Exactly, that's what I'm using.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'm using
so
magnesium.
you haven't had a malaria attack since you left Ghana last time, a few months ago.
I've not had malaria. The only thing I have is the complications I have from the butts of the robbers that came to attack me. I just have if I show you, let me see if I can turn it around. If I show you my body, see how I don't know if you can see it. Shadrach, can you help me hold it and then let me see? Sorry, just show me. Yeah, you see, I see having, but because I feel pains all over me from the butt, so I have the pain part.
Yeah. Let me explain what happened to you because a lot of people don't know. Alex was taken by gunpoint from what do you call it, a few weeks ago in Nigeria to rob his account or whatever. He can explain more. And they've really beaten him up very badly.
Yeah, I was really dealt with. So I still have the pains all over me. Apart from that, everything is all right. So I'm just trying to see if I can get this pool done, and then so we can take statistics and analysis of what is happening here, and then maybe add it to the database of the general.
Can you, as part of your work, can you consider 8 people? You see,
8 people? Yeah, of course I consider anyone that wants to come to the complex for treatment, they can come.
The $20,000 will be in the account as usual by Monday morning.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Tomorrow is 13th, but Monday will be sent through. I just confirm you receive the usual account we use for you. Yeah.
All right. This is I've not showed you before. This is the complex. This is the KFSI complex in Nigeria. I don't know if everyone can see. Maybe I'll show everywhere.
This is Alex. Flint is suggesting to turn the camera sideways, and maybe it would give a better picture for us. Ah, there we go. That's better. Thank you.
Something has gone wrong.
Except for your thumb is in it there.
Now,
now maybe it's got too much bandwidth or something.
Just from it. I think something has gone wrong. I have a dodgy phone here. Okay, I got it.
I hope they didn't beat your phone. It was just you.
Yeah,
they took my phone. Not before they took my phone.
It was probably your thumb. Okay, thank you.
This is the complex. This is where the like we plan. When the researchers come, when the knowledge seekers come in the future, if they want to come join us in the research, they have the choice of staying here. And then, if you see after the swimming pool, we still have space where we can make the health center. We have a research health center there, which is close to the swimming pool, and then there's a whole place. So the resident is done. For the knowledge seekers who wish to come here and do research with me or with the knowledge seekers in Nigeria, and then that's the health swimming pool, and then we're going to have a health clinic at the space behind the swimming pool there, and that's basically all. So once that is done, the KF-SSI complex in Nigeria should be ready for accepting visitors and researchers and scientists who wants to come and join us in the experiments here.
Thank you very much. It's amazing what you achieved there.
Thank you. And then you see my...
You don't miss being Barnet in London, do you?
Oh, not really. I don't miss anywhere. This is Africa, Mr. Cage. This plasma pots I've been doing while I'm not really, I have time. So the little plasma pots I did, can see lots of them all day in the complex.
Well, what's the difference between normal condition?
Because if you put, if I could go to nature and show you this plant in nature, it's quite different from this one here. Okay, I'll show you one flower here. This one, see this plant here? You see how long the leaves are? I'll show you the same plant here, which is not in the plasma pot. Sorry. Same plant, look at the leaves.
It's different.
Do you understand that? This is the same plant, and then this is the one on the plasma pot. See the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's glaring, so it's quite different. If you put the plant your
fruit, your what do you call it?
Yeah, I just took down some of the plantains. Well, let me show you one that is still on the tree. It's really massive. Let me see that. Okay, I still have one here on the tree. Oh, that is really difficult to see. But the fruits, the harvest is way better than any other one. It's just, I mean, plasma is something else. It's just another level. So anything you put on it is it makes it way better than what is going to give you in nature. So that's the whole company. Huh?
You're a very busy man.
Yeah, I have to be busy, otherwise I'm going to die young.
I'm not going to say anything else.
I know what you want to say. Have a speak. And then I have a little dog in there. Complex is there hiding there. Hello.
It's a little puppy.
Yeah, that's Bob. And that's my yams. These are plasma yams as well. I've not harvested this one, so I can't say how the products are gonna, how the fruits are gonna be. But I think they're gonna be just as the other seeds as well. So I have some other plantains. Let me just take a walk about the complex and see. And then another crop I have to show you is this. This is the garden egg. This crop you're seeing is the garden egg. In nature, this crop is not as big as this. Well, this is nature actually, but I mean in real nature, the crops are not as big as this, but here they are massive.
Alex, your thumb is on the screen there. Could you move your thumb away? Thank you. Perfect.
So how many times bigger than a normal?
This is way, like 2.5 times bigger than normal.
What about the fruit level? Does it produce more fruit?
Talking about the fruit. The fruit, you have the fruits all over. Let me show you something. Yeah, look at this plant. Let me just adjust it.
Where are you? We
Sorry,
see a
sorry.
wall.
Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the fruit so you can see how much fruit you have in it.
What is the normal fruit from this plant?
The normal fruit is like that. It's just going to be as big as that.
Yeah.
But now you have them as big as this one. Okay, I'll put them on the floor and see the difference between both of them. The left one is the normal one in nature, and the right one is the one with the plasma.
Yeah, but what about the number of fruits from the plant?
It's more. That's what I'm saying. It's more. It's even making the plants fall off. None of them is standing upright. I'll show you the other ones. See, they're all falling off on the floor. Because the fruit is bearing is too much for the plant to hold. See, that's on the floor.
We saw this in agriculture in Brazil and Mexico report, if I remember, a couple of years ago. We saw this with agriculture with China.
Okay. And then this are the plant. Then this another plasma pot. And then I show you the other fruit that is, you can't even hold as well. It's the same. Can you still see that?
No, you've frozen the figure now. Stop wherever you are because your picture has frozen until we see it.
I don't know what I'm doing now. Okay.
It's your internet, your picture is frozen. We just see the path, that's it. Now we saw your nose, as usual.
Well,
if you stop clicking your nose, then we can see something. It's still frozen.
It's still frozen. Well, maybe I have to go back and come in again because it's just frozen now. I think it's the network. I think it's the network. It's just
the sound is good. Just close your camera and switch it on again.
Okay, let me try that.
Share again.
Okay, 1 minute.
It's beautiful what you're achieving there, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Let me just try going. I don't know how to go. This is my phone. I just got this phone because I was troubled off my old phone, so I don't really know how to manipulate this one.
You know how to manipulate anything. Just push the right button.
Daniel, come and help me hold this plant, please. I want to show. Just hold the plant. I want to show. Okay. Okay. Can you see that now, or is still?
No, we still see the same frozen picture.
Okay, which means it's gone. There, maybe the network is gone. It has a mind of its own.
Sound. It's not a network. Okay, doesn't matter. Explain to us. We'll see.
Okay,
if
so
what network, then we might lose you altogether. At least you are here.
Okay, all right. So that's about it. The plants, if you use plasma to grow your plant, it's almost twice. I mean, the fruits actually is almost twice as big as the normal fruits, and then the crop is bigger as well. The crops are huge, not actually big. They are really huge, and that's it. And so even my I will have showed you my birds. I have some birds running around here. I can't find them. Maybe the next compound. They're really fresh, and you just want to hold them. You see the birds. Let me see if I can find some of them. Well, even if I can find them, you can't see. Yeah, so that's
what
just about it.
For birds?
Yeah, I have birds. I have birds around here. I have all kinds of birds because you see the condition I created here. I created the conditions for nature to interact with the complex. So you can hear the sounds of the birds, and so they come around. And then when you see the birds coming in, see they all look fresh and happy, and then they're all singing. So maybe one day, if some of the knowledge seekers around the world come and join my research, they're gonna discover what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Fantastic what you achieved there.
Yeah. So that's about it, Mr. Kesh. But I'm still very ill. I'm not really fine because of these bad people that came to beat me seriously, beat me up with the guns and so on. Just for nothing. I don't understand.
Again for a card, but this time was a bank card, huh?
Yeah, the bank card. It came for the bank card. Took me to the ATM machine and
Next
just.
time they come, says, "Don't eat me. I can give you yours. You can do what you like."
Okay, then. Okay. Okay. Then when the cat is out, I'll tell them that they can have theirs. They leave me alone.
It's beautiful to hear your voice. It's nice. I was worried about you.
No, I'm all right. I'm just fine. Just that it's just the situation they put me, and then they got me. Me, I'm never scared. But these guys got me scared. And the first time they got me scared for about a couple of days, I could not move out of my house because each time I want to step out, I think they're there waiting for me. But that's not true. But I just have to tell myself that that is not the reality. The reality is that they came once to come and get what they wanted, and then they got it, and then they're never going to come back. I hope they're never going to come back. Well, even if they come back next time, I'm ready for them.
They'll just elevate their soul. Forget about it. They won't turn up.
Okay.
Get a bigger dog.
Oh, a bigger dog. Don't worry. I wait for this one. I wait for this one to grow.
Feed him some guns, good.
Well, of course, that's what I feed on my dog. I feed everything here feeds except, well, me. I have to eat food sometimes. Most of the people here we all use guns. Yeah.
The question is, does your guard dog become too docile, too mellow with the GANs to be a guard dog, though?
I think so.
What do you think?
Rick, I think so, because the dog is friendly with everyone.
Well, that's a bit of an issue with a guard dog. But maybe he'll find a way to make friends with these people that are causing you grief, and it'll all resolve itself, and they'll start giving you money instead of taking money and apologize for their actions.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, I it takes I feed it out on CO2, and in the morning I add CO2 and a little bit of drops of CO2 on its breakfast and some. But it's healthy. It's quite healthy and plays around a lot. So yes.
It's strange that things happen to you, Alex.
Yeah, and that's why I keep asking myself. And then here in Africa, people just make me feel so vexed, because what I tell people about the incident that happens to me, they still thank God. How can you thank God for asking thief to come to me? Why didn't you tell God to stop the thief from coming to me? That's why I keep asking them. So thank God you're not dead. Well, they change anything if I was dead or not. Why did God bring them here? So that's the argument I have with them. So that's it, Well, I'm happy I'm alive anyway. Happy to be alive. At least I have the life to continue doing the research. That's the most important thing for now. Yeah. So any other question you want me to ask? Rick, I thought you were going to ask me some questions about the fate interactions and so on. Rick?
Nope. That was a whole other Alex altogether. That was Alex Skoric, who had a picture of some Ganswater arrangements that he wanted to ask a question about. But I kept asking for him, and he didn't respond. And you did, magically. So I called the Alex name, and you showed up. Thank you for that.
He pulled me out of the hiding. I was hiding for too long.
Yes.
All right, so when the complex is done, finally, hopefully by December it's going to be done. I'll be able to show if we have to open it and open the pool, and when the health center is going to be done as well, we're going to have it open and then show it to the world and see what we've been doing here in Nigeria.
That's really very, very encouraging, Alex. Thank you very much for that. I'm in actually a very similar situation here in Canada, where we actually have a pool that we're working on to plasma size. And
sorry, I have to come back to another line. We lost both lines on the other side. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Oh yeah, I'm back in again. It's okay. I use
Good.
mine.
Hello. We're not
Hello.
hearing. We're not hearing you, Mr. Kesh, right now.
We are back in again. No, I just lost network for a while. I had to go.
Okay.
I had to go on Giovanni's line. Okay. Alex, it's amazing what you've done and what you're achieving.
Thank you.
I would like to see you next time with people bathing around and say what they have changed in.
Oh, same here.
Don't make it into a public bathtub with sick people. Huh?
No, it's gonna be for the public, but I mean sick people mainly. If you're sick, you come here, and the door is gonna be open for everyone that is sick to come and try to get some healings here, because this is gonna be the first plasma complex in the whole country.
It's fantastic. I like your imagination and what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
You fascinated me from the first day I met you and talked to you. And I saw you going through the problem in England with all these threats they made to you, and now you go to Africa and you see it's still the threat. But
yeah, no, it's different. It's different. This one is out of poverty. That's what is aggravating the crime against me.
The other one was out of richness. The rich people thinking they're going to lose their thing.
Exactly.
Both thieves. The $20,000 will be with you on Monday transmission.
Okay, Mr. Kesh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Finish it off and next time show us. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, Alex. See you tonight in the meeting.
All right, then. What time is it?
8 o'clock, I think. Okay? Central European time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thank you indeed. Is there anything else? I have to leave today by 12:15 latest. I've got to go somewhere. So if we finish in 15 minutes, it's
15 minutes, okay.
Outside we started.
Yes. I think we have a short presentation from Lynn or Paul Schmaltz regarding, I'm not sure if it's plant pictures, or maybe one of them can explain for me here.
Hi, Rick. It's Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Yes, I'm sharing some information that has come through with people who are using our plasma energy stations. And Mr. Kesh made a reference just in the past hour about understanding using all the fields when we're doing the GANs. And so the plasma energy station has a variety of fields in vials that have been attached to a container. There's 16 different vials, and there are all kinds of different liquid plasmas in the vials. But the intention that we did this with is that this is like your little storehouse. If you didn't have time to learn all the technology and learn how to make the GANs and everything, then you get the plasma energy station and you start using it. And we always stress that you're using it with intention. So we tell people, you know, we emphasize drink the water from it, but always have the intention of what the water is going to do for you. And I want to read a real short email I just got from my brother. And he says, I've been going to the dermatologist for over 40 years. I go quarterly, and I always have at least 20 skin cancer spots frozen each visit and about 10 biopsies a year. This year, I have had 15 surgical procedures with sutures from 1 to 3 inches. I have been using plasma water on my sutures, and they literally disappear in a week. This week, I went for my quarterly appointment. For the first time in 40 years, I was clear. No keratoses, basal cells, or squamous cells. Of course, I avoid the sun, but also each morning I put a mixture of plasma water and olive oil on my face and my head. And we told him about doing this from the idea Mr. Kesh had given about the eye drops that were utilizing the olive oil. And so when we were talking about the use for the eyes, he said, well, why couldn't I use that on my head? I said, well, go for it. And so he had embraced that. Well, we had another individual who's using the plasma energy station. And those are some pictures of flowers I sent to you, Rick, because She had an orchid that she was. Okay, that's okay. I'll keep talking. She had an orchid that she started giving the plasma water to last May. And just this last week, the blooms started dropping off. She said she's never had an orchid have blooms last that long. And then she showed a plant that it was a petunia that a deer pulled up out of the ground. And so it was just laying there on its way to being totally dead. And she decided to replant it and give it plasma water. So she sent the picture of her recovered petunia. But she's the same lady who sent us, and I wrote a blog about it on our website. We had a request this week from Paulette, who's been using our plasma energy station for several months. Her husband has some health issues, and one is narcolepsy, and she was asking for assistance. And narcolepsy is basically a condition where you have excessive daily sleepiness, and you may fall asleep in the middle of a conversation. It's not really safe to drive. You may fall asleep right in the middle of what you're trying to do. So she asked us what she might do for it. And so what I had told her, and I'm working with people to understand their plasma energy station has everything they need in it. So what I did is I said, I want you to take a half a cup of water from your station, put it in a jar, and label it zinc oxide. Take another half a cup of water, put it in a separate jar, and label it CO2. Then take another half cup, put it in a jar, and label it CH3. Take 2 more small jars with 1/4 of a cup of water in each of them, and label one of them amino acids and the other one hemoglobin. After they sit overnight, take another jar of 1 cup of distilled water, add 3/4 of your zinc oxide water, 1/4 of your CO2 water, but leave enough room at the top to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of CH3, 1/4 of a teaspoon of amino acids, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of hemoglobin. If there's any room left, add distilled water. Now you're going to label this jar narcolepsy relief. Before you use any of the water in the jar, put a small amount in a very small jar that will act as your special vial of narcolepsy relief. This is your seed jar, just like all the vials on your energy station. You can tape it to the side of the main jar that you have labeled narcolepsy relief. As you use the water from the narcolepsy relief jar, just add distilled water to it, as the water in the jar in your small seed jar will always charge the water that you add to the energy of the narcolepsy relief water. Drink a half a cup of the water every morning, noon, and night. This works because of the energy fields that you already had in your energy station, and now you've separated them into separate jars. You're using a majority of the zinc oxide because that assists the emotions. You have to assist the emotional reason for the narcolepsy before the condition changes. You can make some patches to put in a hat, such as a baseball cap, and you can make them small enough so they fit inside the hat on either side. One patch will be 3 times the thickness of the other patch. You can make the patches by soaking paper napkins or paper towels with your narcolepsy relief water. And you can also wash your sheets.
Excuse me, can I stop you reading this, please?
Yes.
And can you take this off the line, please? Because there are too many things on the side, shouldn't be on the line.
Okay. Rick is doing that.
No problem. Can you explain to us anything else? Because this is a process they use, and people have to find to go to the links to read these things.
What we ended up doing, Mr. Cash, because the woman was afraid she couldn't do it right, she asked us if we would mix together the relief and combination, which we did, and we sent to her. So basically, with this energy station, what I'm telling people, and people are doing it, I'm saying, I want you to make patches from your station water and share them with people so they have the same ability to make patches and share with others. And the idea of labeling the jars comes from the Japanese scientist Emoto, who gave the messages in water, and the intention you put on the water to say, from all the plasma energies that were available to me, this is what I want to use right now. And so there's been a variety of uses with it for plants. People are sending me pictures of how their plants are doing.
Could you make a demonstration of this, a diagram of this, and come and show it to us next week?
Do you mean with the plasma energy? Sure. There is a photo. I guess Rick didn't. I'm sorry. I have a new computer, but it's not new enough that I have a camera set up yet. And
no, just as a drawing, or explain it to, or draw it on a piece of paper and just send a photo shot of it.
You know where the idea originated, Mr. Kesh?
Yes.
You taught a class, a knowledge seeker workshop over 1.5 years ago, and you drew a container and you said, what if you attached balls of different GANs?
Yes, I understand, because Caroline is teaching this too. But
good.
What it is in other teachings, I've seen it too. But if you can get it demonstrated or work with the Keshe Foundation webmaster, we put one of the people who does the diagrams and the graphic side of the people support team. They can do it for you nicely, then we can show it. It's a nice thing to see, because I've seen a lot of people using it with a lot of result. But excuse me, Stan, if you can get in touch with her, or Rick, you can put her in touch with one of the people who does the graphics or some artwork or whatever, that we can demonstrate this in a very nice way, please, and then bring it back next week or the week after.
Oh, that would be great, and that would really be great, because Jim had asked Paul and I if we would teach some some of the workshops, and so we're arranging to do that. And our focus wanted to be on learning how to really use your intention along with the physical GANs.
Just 1 second, please. Let me ask a question. Is Klaus in the background? Dr. Klaus Willer, are you there?
I don't see him on the list.
Is Jonathan from Philippines online?
No.
Okay. Maybe if you get in touch with Dr. Klaus, and I'll speak with him later on today, that we could make this as a demonstration that it can be shown properly.
Yes, I can help her.
Who's that?
This is Flint.
Hi, Flint. Okay. If we could do that, use Jonathan in Philippines for, if you need to do it through Dr. Klaus or through Armin, that it can be demonstrated in a proper way. It's a knowledge that a lot of people can use it, because we know a lot of people are using it, but at least it has a nice and a clear presentation, and put that as part of the blueprint.
Mr. Kesh, I think that I will work on some plasma station patches, and if somebody will tell me where to send them so that they could go on to Puerto Rico and the rest of the Caribbean that's having so many problems, I'm glad to send them.
We need somebody to administer this internally. If you like, we can we need a coordinator for this to be set up. If anybody in the Keshe Foundation would like to be as part of the coordinator, because it used to be done by Giovanni here in Italy, we need an international coordinator. This has to go back to the Universal Council, Earth Council on Tuesday to be set up. And if you can put it together, we can organize the shipping through the headquarters, through Ella.
Okay.
Get in touch with Ella, the Shilpi, but we need, if you have a free time, we need a coordinator for release of these and collection of these things. If you have time, anybody who would like to be part of this administration and collection of material, knowing where they are, that we can ship them or we can organize to ship them, will help us a lot.
I will ask Candy from the medical. I just sent her a unit, and she expressed, I sent something out a couple weeks ago and to people I knew in the medical chat from the US and said, can we get together and coordinate something, because
we need an international coordinating team. It's
yes.
a team effort. If you can organize it, please get in touch, or you know people, or you're anybody on the network and listen to us. Join us in this, and the foundation will make facilities to get these things, because this is not just Puerto Rico or the United States. Next month or next year it will be somewhere else. That we are prepared, we know where the stocks are, when we know who holding one, who can move one. We need to create a national database. National database means as one nation. So if you know people, we give you facilities on the internet like we do with the workshops, that anybody can get in touch with anybody at the point of disaster.
That would be great, and
we need somebody to head this in the foundation. We are fully stretched to the limit. But if any of the Keshe Foundation supporters or a group of you would like to come as a disaster, what do you call it, support, or whatever we might call it, plasma rescue, whatever you want to call it. We had a title for this in the background. Stanley or Vince, do you remember last year we used, or 2 years ago? There is a link somewhere we used before. Pardon?
A link for what?
For supporting with the disasters. We helped the guy in Caribbeans. We set up a link that people could get contact, and we did the same with Italy. What's the link? We have a link for this job.
They had many things. I don't.
Is it a disaster or?
I think there was a email address, but
yes.
Always send it to just the webmaster, and we can make sure.
The webmaster is getting loaded with that. Can we set up one with this? Sure. Somebody can initiate it straight away, make it live. What we call it, let's call it a plasma support team, or a plasma support team at Keshe Foundation or spaceshipinstitute.org, and direct all these people. At least we set a group for it that becomes permanent. Now we can organize it, and it's got to be manned by the Universal Council, Earth Council group.
You might want to call it relief rather than support, because support might get mixed up with the other types of support that we have. We have a whole support page, web page actually. So it could be plasma relief.
Yeah,
that's
call
got
it plasma relief.
It's got a nice ring to it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Plasma relief.
Okay, plasma relief at spaceshipinstitute.org.
The Universal Council domain or the Earth Council domain?
No, just let them be separate. Let them be separate. Or we'll take it back to the meeting in the councils and see what they decide. But at the moment, use this. And then internally, we can always connect it to the Universal Council or the Earth Council.
I think it should be the plasma relief at keshefoundation.org, because everybody knows the foundation.
Can we use keshefoundation.org? Okay, use that one. But we need somebody to man it. So you need to put someone. It's no use them sending emails when we cannot man it. We need somebody to man it. and become
And as you said,
coordinated.
I think the Universal Council can assign somebody to that.
Okay, no problem. That's perfect. So if you get in touch with, get in touch with the Americans and the others who want to do it, send the email to plasmarelief@keshefoundation.org. And then we try to put somebody immediately or next couple of days to man it, because the Earth Council has a meeting tonight. We'll see how we can do it, or there's a meeting with the Universal Council tomorrow night. We organize it somehow, that'll be manned immediately. And if you would like to be part of it, that'll be fantastic.
Oh, you were speaking to me? Yes.
Yes, you
Yes,
or anybody, you as all of us.
Yes, I would.
Thank you very much. Get in touch with Rick, and then the webmaster team will put you, in contact and in link with everybody else, and then we can do it.
Okay, I will do
that's
that.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. We have to stop, or I have to stop, because I have to be in a meeting. If you'd like to carry on.
Well, okay, we can see if there's
past
anyone wishes to.
Nearly 3.5 hours.
Yeah, generally we like to end things by now.
Universal Council?
Pardon?
We have a meeting tomorrow night with Universal
Universal Council meets every Friday. Go to the Universal Council link meeting, is there.
Okay, the time is there.
Yeah, they meet on whatever they organize. They meet on Tuesdays or Mondays and Fridays.
Okay,
the Earth Council meets every Thursday. So everything is there. Anybody who's got any requests to any of the councils, they can go with.
Okay, we have to let Mr. Kesh go, and I think we should wrap things up for today, unless there's anybody with a pressing question that they would like to put through to the rest of us here.
Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much, Rick. I would thank you for all of you. It's you who have brought the foundation to where it is, and the way it's getting its strength. And hopefully, the more we understand, the more we'll be able to serve. Thank you very much for today. And I think we saw the most beautiful thing, which I think what we saw with Alex. A pool which can be like a universe. We can take from it what we need, and we can give to it what we don't need. That it brings back peace to our soul. It's beautiful what you've done, Alex. Thank you very much indeed. See you next week, hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Sure, we can have some musical interlude on the way out here. And I think Flint can facilitate that. Thank you, everybody, for attending the 193rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 12th, 2017. And we'll see you again next week, as well as we have presentations on Monday, Tuesday, and Tuesday as well. Look at the live stream and YouTube channels. Okay, take it away, Flint. Thank you.